Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Guy. This is Guy Talk Sports. Thank you so much for watching this video, clicking on the link, giving me a chance. In this video, of course, going to talk about the big loss that Tennessee had over the weekend, getting beat by Arkansas. It is hard to bring the energy for this video. That was a big beat down, and it has been a tough pill to swallow over these last couple days. After we get done talking about the game, also, we're going to look ahead because we got Florida coming in. Florida coming in this weekend. All of a sudden, that game is a lot scarier. So we're going to talk about all these things. Before we do, though, if you want to jump ahead to any part in the video, I will post the timestamps down below in the description box. So you can click it and jump ahead if you want. Before we do anything else, though, down below the screen, you'll see a subscribe button. Go ahead, smash that for me. I appreciate it. Let's get into this. All right. So Tennessee loses to Arkansas, a team. They were favored by, I think, 13.5, 14, something like that by the time kickoff happened. And truly nobody saw this coming. I don't know of anybody that was picking Arkansas to beat Tennessee in this game. I know I wasn't. I missed out on making a video last week. I have been a very busy person. But I really did think, it might be close going, into the third quarter, which actually it kind of was. But then, in the fourth quarter, Tennessee starts to break away just with the depth and ends up, winning by 20, 30 points. Clearly, that did not happen. Definitely much more of a somber tone in this video. I'm trying not to be too down doing this video, but I really debated even doing a video this week because this is supposed to be a fun thing for me to be doing, talking about the team I love. But boy, that loss made it really difficult to say to want to do anything with this. I haven't really. Typically after a game, I'm listening to podcasts, watching other YouTube channels, trying to get the vibe from everybody else. I did not. I completely shut down after the after this game, and I'm not gonna lie. I haven't read a single story. Haven't done much research on that Arkansas game because I don't want to. That was so hard to watch as a Tennessee fan, as somebody that has bled orange his entire life. That was a very tough game to watch. I was watching everything. Everybody was projecting Tennessee to win this game. People were coming on saying there is no way Tennessee loses this game. Maybe if it had been right after Oklahoma. Honestly, I wish it had been played right after Oklahoma. Maybe we would have had a little bit more of a pulse because we came out flat. It was just not a good look. So let's try to start off with any positives we can find from this game. To start. I think look no further than the defense, right? The defense, it's the old adage, defense travels. I would say it didn't travel as well as you'd hoped. It's like ordering a really nice basket of crispy French fries from a restaurant, and by the time they get home, they're a little soggy, but it's still good. Still good. However, the offense is like the burger that you ordered with those fries, and then by the time you get home, you realize the restaurant didn't give it to you in the bag. The offense did not show up, but let's I keep just going to the negatives. Defensively, I thought there were a few times where the defense really bowed their neck and held them on a few fourth down conversions. Held Arkansas to 3 points in that first half. And Arkansas has never, this whole season's never had a hard time putting up yards. And so that was never, they had a ton of yards, right? I think overall they had 434 total yards. I know in the first half they outgained us. I don't even remember the number, but it was by a lot. I don't care how many yards they have. I don't care about that at all. The defense was able to stop them on a few key fourth downs, and they held Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas lived in our side of the field the entire first half, and defensively held them to 3 points. They missed it. They missed a field goal, so it could have been 6-0. But even then, our defense still showed up. There were a few big plays they gave up that you really don't want to see them give up. But they almost had another safety. I think Arkansas was like 6 of 15 converting third down. But they did give up a few big third down plays. I think about that one, it was right after we almost got a safety, and then nobody picks up the running back. And they throw a little swing pass out there, and he gets a first down. It was things like that during the game. You're like, you don't want to see them give that up, because Arkansas had the ball. I think their first drive was almost 9 minutes long. It was ridiculous. You want to see the defense be able to get off the field. But as I said, defensively in the first half especially, they played well. They played good enough for us to be winning this game. You give up 3 points, you expect a Josh Heupel team to be able to put up more than 0 in a half, right? We did not. We did not do that. I think any other bright spot that I can think of would be Dylan Sampson. I think overall he had a pretty good game, especially in the third quarter. Tennessee's down 3-0. Third quarter opens up, and it's like back-to-back drives. Just feed Dylan Sampson, and he had back-to-back scoring touchdowns. He had 22 carries for 140 yards, with 2 touchdowns. So he had a good game. Deshaun Bishop had three carries for 19 yards, which he had like one really good run, but he had a huge missed block that really cost us a big play. And I'm not gonna lie, that's about all I can think of as far as the positives go. Again, this is not going to be a very positive video, and so I'm trying to keep it cool. But there was just so much more that went wrong in this game. So that's all I got for what went right. What went wrong? We already talked a little bit about the defense, how how they gave up some big plays, some big third downs that you don't want to see them do necessarily. But you give up 19 points, right? If you watch the last drive, the clock's running out. Arkansas is down 14-13, and basically the defense lets them score. You can go back, watch the replay. Tennessee let Arkansas score. It was a very smart play. So realistically, they didn't seem like they were going to give up a touchdown. It was probably going to be 16-14, and that's the game. But, smartly, they let Arkansas score, and therefore gave Tennessee's offense a chance. And to the offense's credit, drove down, had a big play to Dante Thornton, and then just wet the bed. And so, defensively, you give up 19 points. That should be enough. If you're keeping teams under 20 in a Josh Heupel offense, that should be enough. And it wasn't. Whether it was 19 points, 16 points, if you're keeping, this is a fairly powerful Arkansas offense that has big play potential for sure. And you hold them under 20. That is enough. That should be enough. And it was not. And so offensively, our offensive line, they gave up 4 sacks. And I'm not trying to be too hard on the offensive line, but they didn't have a great game. Again, Dylan Sampson had over 100 yards. But Nico did not have a lot of time to throw. And so offensive line played pretty poorly. I was not necessarily happy with them. Wide receivers didn't get a lot of great separation. I don't think the wide receivers had a great game. Tight ends, I think Kitzelman might have had one catch. Kitzelman had 2 catches, and that's all you got from the tight end. So not great from the wide receivers, not great from the tight ends. Running backs did okay. Again, a few missed blocks, but really. I'm not going to be too hard on the offensive line because although they didn't have the best game, when Nico was given time, he did not do well. He just did not have a great game. I think he was having a hard time seeing the field. I think he held on to the ball too long. Really didn't push down the field very much. Had a bad overthrow on a deep pass. Again, I'm not going to be too hard on when you're heaving a ball 50 yards and you overshoot them. That's going to happen. To the best quarterbacks, that's going to happen. But Nico had a bad game. It was definitely, you could tell he's still a freshman. And, for someone that I don't want to be too hard on him. I get it. He's a 20-year-old kid. But for someone that gets a lot of the glory when we win the games, you got to get ready to get the blame when you lose games. And when you only put up 14 points in this offense, that's a problem. That's a big problem. Nico, he was 16 of 28 for 156 yards. That's it. He had 4 sacks. Didn't turn the ball over. We didn't turn the ball over, but they didn't either. And so that's a wash. But no touchdown passes. It was, like I said, it was literally Dylan Sampson running it in for 2 touchdowns. So Nico had a very bad game. You just have to watch this one. You have to flush it down because this is. Learn what you can if you're Nico, if you're this team. I don't know if hubris took part in this, if we were feeling ourselves a little bit before getting here, thinking we were better than we are. I think we're a better team than what that game showed. But we didn't look great, and it was funny. I was trying to keep up with the games. I was working most of the day, and I was trying to keep up with the games, and Missouri got wiped by Texas A&M. Vanderbilt was scoring at will against Alabama, and you're like, oh, a lot of high-ranked teams are going down today. Hopefully, it's not the Vols. And there we go, 19-14 is the score, and it was a bad one. I thought the coaching, it was a bad game. You saw in the Oklahoma game, Heupel get very conservative, and I thought it was very smart. We were up, I think, like 22-3, but when you're up only 14-3, you can't get conservative. And I really don't. I don't know if it was necessarily that, though. I really think it was. I'm sure it's a little bit on Nico, a little bit on play calling, but I have to thank Josh Heupel, who's been known as an aggressive offensive play caller, getting deep shots down the field, scoring points. I have to think he was calling more aggressive plays than that. And so I tend to lean more, put more of the blame on Nico. I don't know if he's just out there, playing scared, not pushing the ball, maybe trying more to not make a mistake than to make a play. But it was a bad game. I don't think Nico's a bad player. I think Nico can be very, very good, but this was not a good game from him. It wasn't a good game from the offense in general. Minus Dylan Sampson. I think that was the one shining spot for the offense. Like I said, coaching, not impressed. Special teams, it was all right. But yeah, that's about all I got on that. This was a depressing. I don't mean for it to be such a depressing video, but there's not. I tend to just want to talk about what went right, but there just wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot. Nico has to be better. I know that. Nico has to be better. The offensive line has to be better. The wide receivers have to be better. And this offense is starting to show that maybe it was, because we weren't playing very good competition that we were putting up the stats we were in those first few games. Hopefully not, right? Hopefully this is a one-off. This is on the road at night in Arkansas where things, for whatever reason, always go bad for the Vols, or almost always, and they got us. And it was a bad game. It was not fun to watch. If you watch that first half, especially, it's like 0-3. It was a horrible first half. And then you all of a sudden Tennessee scores 2 touchdowns, and you're like, okay, that's more like it, right? The crowd was out of it. And I'll tell you what a really big play was a roughing the kicker call that was called. Defense held Arkansas. Tennessee was about to get the ball again. You got to think, all right, they get the ball, put up another touchdown. That's going to be game. And all of a sudden you get a roughing the kicker call. And from there on, it just snowballed. It snowballed, and Arkansas got a field goal. And all of a sudden, Arkansas got a touchdown. And, before you know it, Arkansas is driving with a few minutes left, and they go down. And you're like, we have to let them score, or it's going to be ball game, and they're going to kick a field goal and win it. And so Tennessee gets the ball back. Again, big play down the field to Dante Thornton. And I think they had 36 seconds left with that catch. And I think there was some clock mismanagement. But really, it was shades of Joe Milton Ole Miss game in 2021, right? Last play, 6 seconds left. You have to go to the end zone. There's not enough time to throw a little out route or something like that. It's 4th down. And you have to. The one thing you can't do is not throw it. That's the one thing you can't do. Is not throw. Just at least throw the ball past the goal line and just see if somebody can catch it. I think Nico. One thing I think I read was he said the ball was slipping when he was when he was thinking about throwing it, and so he just had to tuck it and run. I don't care. If you tuck it and run, then keep going downfield and try running through people instead of running out of bounds. You can't run out of bounds there. You have to have an internal clock saying it's past 6 seconds. If I run this, I have to try and run through people. I can't go out of bounds. Or turn around and chuck it. Somebody do anything to keep the ball alive. You can't run out of bounds with no time left. It was just a big freshman moment. It was hard to watch. As a Tennessee fan, it's embarrassing. This was like I said, just a bad game. I have been pretty down after having to watch that. So, still a Vol fan, right? Even though now that I see this, I look like I'm wearing Florida colors in this polo. it's foreboding. But that's, like I said, that's about all I got for that game. I just want to forget about it. Tennessee, in the latest AP poll, dropped to 8. And you have to think with Alabama losing, Tennessee was going to jump to number 2 or 3 if you win that game. And just like that, every game becomes that much more important. Still not out of the playoff, but you're going to have to run the table on. Yeah, you could probably lose one more game to either Alabama or Georgia, basically. And you can still make the playoff. It's a tall order, and it makes this season. It definitely makes this season at a tipping point as to, are we still going to have, is it still going to be something we're going to be contending for the playoff, or does this kind of start snowballing? Florida gets you, Alabama gets you, Georgia gets you, Kentucky looks like they can, they beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss. Vanderbilt just beat Alabama. You cannot let this game, change who you are. Our defense is still legit. Our offense has to find its footing. And like I said, there's still 7 games to play. Still have 7 games, to show that you're a better offense in this. And I think we have the pieces in place. Offensive line has to play better. Wide receivers have been okay. They need to be better. Nico has to be better. Coaching has to be better. And so that's all I got on that. Now let's take a look ahead to Florida. Right, I think they're checkering Neyland for this one. So Florida is 3-2. They just beat the Golden Knights 24-13. Looked okay. They're all of a sudden they have a little momentum. All of a sudden Tennessee doesn't, and this game got big. I think a lot of people were looking past Arkansas, past Florida, looking ahead to Alabama. And as a fan, you can. Unfortunately, I think the team did that, and now all of a sudden this game gets really big. You cannot lose this game, and this is a game where Tennessee typically loses, and so it is very, very important to bring your A game. Florida has talented players on their team. I think they are still on the cusp of crashing and burning. They have a bunch of good teams left to play, and Billy Napier's on the hot seat. And so, you get up early and run them out of the stadium. It's going to be a night game. I think you definitely have a pretty good shot. I think Tennessee's favored by a lot, and so Tennessee should win this. Like I said, Florida has talented pieces. I don't think they have great coaching, and unfortunately they're pretty mismanaged. And so, look for Tennessee to bounce back. Look for the Vols to get a win. That's about all I got on that. It is becoming very hard to talk about football when you have. Had this been an Alabama game or a Georgia game, even where I was expecting, okay, we could lose this one. Even the Oklahoma game, like we could lose this one. Fine, like I can take that. But when you play a team like Arkansas that you should just beat up and then look like that, it makes it so hard to talk about or to enjoy. But still a Vol fan, still rooting for the Big Orange. So how to watch this game? It is going to be this Saturday, October 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And I'll be rooting for the team. We're going on vacation to Florida this weekend. Hopefully not the part that the hurricane is going into. We got to keep track of that. But we'll most likely be in Florida watching this game in a hotel room. Looking forward to seeing Tennessee bounce back, get the win. I expect Tennessee to beat Florida. I expect this to have lit a fire under this team, and that they come out just blazing. Or that is my hope anyway. I think Tennessee, again, defensively, I think Tennessee may give up 17 points. I expect this offense to hopefully put up over 30. I think, somewhere, I think 34-17, something like that, and covered the spread. So that's what I expect. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Again, this video has been a very depressing one. Not meaning for it to be, but this has been just like I said in the beginning, a hard pill to swallow. Tennessee got beat. Looking to bounce back though. Hopefully we get the win. If anyone is still watching at this point, thank you so much for putting up with this. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you don't mind, like the video for me. Really helps me out. Drop a comment down below. What did you think about the game? What did you think about Nico? How do you expect the Florida game to go? Hit that subscribe button for me. Help me continue to grow this channel. Tell somebody about the channel. Go ahead, tell somebody. Guy Talks Sports talks about Tennessee football, whether it's a positive day or a very, very negative outcome like getting beat 19-14 against Arkansas. But tell somebody about Guy Talks Sports. Thank you again so much. Go Vols, and we'll see you next time.